Oh no!
Oh my god, he is! No! Happy, no! Danny, please! You have to take a shit faster, dude. There isn't enough time.
Eventually he'll.
No, it's a muted, no!
Oh, there we go. We got you punched through. We got you one. You got the curse.
No! I'm done. Thank you for tuning into the finals Mappool showcase. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
No.
Oh my god. I'm actually kind of sad that Danny actually didn't transition to the ending screen because that would have been so good. Anyways, hello everyone. That has been definitely not scuffed intro, was it?
40M.
Yeah.
This has been scuffed showcase 40.
Oh my god.
I like how we're
40M.
discussing how this one wasn't gonna be scuffed, but of course it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you can see the description of this channel, right? That's just it.
Yeah, now this is typical like commentary curse, but like next level. It's like coming from the host.
Why me? I'm getting blamed as usual. Oh boy.
But anyways, we've been having fun behind the scenes, you can tell. But
Oh, yeah.
welcome to the finals Mappool showcase. We will be showing some really spicy maps, and those are some notes here.
Yeah, we have a very special edition of the showcase this time around because none of the commentators has seen any of the maps before.
Oh my
So
God,
that's
I was
great.
gonna hide the fact actually.
No, they
I-
need to know. The chat needs to know. I am the only one who has like barely seen the maps a bit, but most of the pooling is done by Kami and with the help of Danny. I only check in when I'm like called for or when I'm doing maps and moderating the difficulties. So yeah, we are pretty much going in blind as you guys. So we'll be live reacting to the pools.
Yeah,
And I'm
I know
honestly
one of
kind
the
of excited for that.
Yeah, I know
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the hybrids, and I know the SVs. Well, I played the SVs once, both of them.
That's one more time that probably everyone on the stream because yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
anyways,
we
this
ball,
is the
I guess.
yeah we ball. Let's go.
And
Alright.
also, Sun Apple, how are you?
I'm here. I honestly didn't know what to say. I'm good. I think I've only seen like 2 or 3 of the LN maps, if I'm gonna be honest. So it's gonna be interesting. I
This
think we
might be scuffed.
It will be a bit scuffed, but I think we should move on, not dilly-dally all too much into Rice 1, I think. Hopefully the order is still the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
before
is-
we start, I wanna introduce you to a new showcase game. Every time we mention mini jacks, you drink.
Oh no.
Try not to die at the end.
Yeah, also another very important fact, this pool has 2 more maps than the previous ones, and there are +1 Rise and +1 LNs. So let's get ready and roll. Roll the credits! So for Rise 1, we have the amazing Halogen as the mapper of Sound Alchemist.
Yeah,
This
as far as I know, this is a sub use.
Is it actually?
I don't
honestly-
actually know. I think I remember this one soft 5 or so, or 6.
I see. Well, honestly, this is interesting to see because I kind of associate Halogen with harder maps, and this is being Rice 1 means that it's probably going to be one of the easier ones. Maybe it's because of these more jacking and trophy sections that we're seeing right now. Also, there's your first mini jack, and more up here with these stream
I drink.
sections.
I'm
so
drinking mate.
Be aware.
But overall, as you can see, this mapping slightly on the easier side, especially because the BPM is not too high, but those roll bursts can be tricky to hit. Every once in a while you get those ones with the M that I'm not going to mention because I still want Pat to survive the rest of the showcase. But it has a fair amount of long jacks and just orientation of like just mixed rise with more emphasis on core jacks than anything else.
Yeah,
and
this
out the
has been
replays.
this has been a fairly typical pattern of quote-unquote Rice easy picks, like Rice one picks in general. Just a very balanced interaction between mini jacks. I drink again, and flowy streams.
The streams are pretty flowy, but they're also fairly fast, and they are very hard to transition from one style to another, and that's usually the trend between like Rice 1 and Rice 5, which is the hardest or easiest physically demanding map of the pool. It usually tries to mix it up with different types of patterns. There is a clear emphasis on the core jack thing in here, but those streams transitioning into those streams are very, very hard to achieve. Yeah, hybrid map spotted because that's like 1 LN. Let's go.
Like 4 LN in the break. Yeah, I definitely think those transitions are going to be really, really brutal. Especially considering this map is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So there's so many places where you can miss. Yeah, and having to keep combo throughout all those bursts, or those transitions between the mini jacks, the streams, the longer anchors, which those anchors, by the way, are honestly really funny. And
and those one
sections.
We saw the M. Yeah, those parts are very tricky. There's a lot of anchoring through the stream, so they are fairly stamina draining. Deceivingly hard. They look flowy, but there's always one column, usually the outer columns, that get very, very complicated, especially on the second half of the map, as you can see.
Yeah, and like towards the end of some of these streams, there's a bit of a hand bias, or towards one hand, where there's like a burst, and that can definitely trip up some people if you're kind of expecting it from one way.
The MJs on the first column, those are nasty.
Yeah, this is pretty typical of halogen mapping, actually. Yeah, I see a lot of those very intentional anchors for, I guess, emphasis on the vibe of the drops and so on.
Nice, first 1 mil as a tournament.
All right, so let's go. We're transitioning from AJ map to Rise 2 now. And we have
hybrid
from Daisuke Shiwatari. It's Out of She, mapped by Randomelo. And yes, let the Daisuke Inquisition continue. I want more maps of songs by him.
Is that like Guilty Gear or some other game?
Yes, this is Guilty Gear. I think it's Exod, or maybe even earlier than that, I think.
Yeah, if you want to know something Guilty Gear related, like just ask Juan. We had a fair amount of conversations while we were on vacation last year.
Yeah, from Necessary Discrepancy, now we have this. I believe we also had another map earlier, but I don't recall.
Yeah, I think there was two. I can't remember exactly, honestly. But
as you can see, this is mostly jump streams, so we're going again with the trend that we saw in the previous map pool, which had Mama. So we go from banger to banger in the jump stream category here. The particular difference, I believe, that she has a little bit more of a hand bias than Mama, which was just pure jump stream, and eventually some core jack transitions and some amount of mini. So it's pretty mixed, although with a heavy focus on jump stream.
Yeah, honestly, this map just seems really, really fast. I think it's a bit less technical than Mama, just because there aren't as many like really awkward patterns, but definitely there's still a lot of places where people can definitely trip up on, especially we saw some of these trills and obviously the MJs that are all over the place in the in the stream transitions.
Michael Jacksons.
Yeah, the Michael Jacksons.
Or Michael Jordans.
Consistent.
Yeah, I think we know Randome has mapped something kind of similar in orientation before. I think it was Mintango in...
Yeah, it was Mintango. Quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yep. This time it's a bit more linear, straightforward. Mintango had a lot more of those rough MJs in the middle mixed with more technical patterns. In this particular instance, it is more like a two-handed, flowy jump stream with a lens. Oh no. There comes the complaints. But regardless of that, there are some instances where some anchors can get a bit draining in terms of stamina, and of course you have the core jack transitions with eventually MJs that can be tricky to hit, especially on the outer columns with the hands. So unconventional way to do jump stream, I will say, in those regards. Otherwise, it's pretty flowy.
Yeah, honestly, very, very stamina draining. If this is gonna be your stamina map, it is like the most, the closest you'll get to a real stamina map.
More long notes, you.
Yeah, 3 minutes long, doesn't have many breaks, and yeah.
You have a great character in the back room.
Yeah. I think I only saw 2 breaks, and they were more towards the end. So definitely that first that first 3/4 is gonna be really, really brutal for players if they don't have the stamina. And getting to this point, I think that is actually becoming a problem for some players.
It really is. As we go into Rise 3, the pools are overall a bit longer as well. So you see every map is getting above the 3-minute mark, or some of them. But now we go into Melancholy.
Yo,
So a bit of a standard. Yo! Kimui again, another 2-boo map.
Yeah, honestly, like, I played one Kimway map, and it was the custom from last round, like from semifinals, and I was pleasantly surprised by their style. And I think their style kind of translates here as well. It's very, very intentional bursts, and very abrupt ones, and ones that you feel in terms of one-handed. I see a lot of one-hand trails, especially here. Lots of mini jacks. I drink again.
I think he just wants to drink. But yeah, there are heavy anchors all over the place through here, and a lot of MGs are very tricky to hit. The patterns are pretty, not necessarily awkward to hit, but they are very rigid, and there are 100 trains that can definitely kill you if you're not worried, and if you're not like training this beforehand. This is a map that you have to give it 1 or 2 plays before. Like, you can't really go blind into a match with this map due to how many technical and unpredictable patterns there are. They are very, very rigid, very one-handed, and a lot of MJs everywhere. There's a lot of staircases that are also very, very tricky to hit.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing all these bursts all over the place. Like, I believe the song was Chili Sauce, which I think a lot of people really, really like that chart, so I'm hoping that this one's also going to be very, very popular. Maybe if you're trying to look at an opponent's score, look at that map specifically for this, maybe. But these trails are, like, really, really brutal, actually, and they're so constant.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you any time to breathe in between the streams, and most of the jumps are spread out between the 2 different hands. There are very few instances of 1-2s or 3-4 doubles. They are mostly split, and they are even split in like different fingers, so they are very, very tricky to hit. Like, there are some of the bursts that are insanely tricky.
There are so many trails. Like, either you see some 2-handed trails or 1-handed trails like outright, or they're hidden between the bursts and so on. This map is a trail map. I want to say it's a trail map.
A Guitar Hero map.
Yeah, let's go. We've got a clone hero chart in 40M finals. Oh my god, it finishes with a trail, a left-handed trail. You cannot make this up.
The true trill map. Maybe you try to play that with your Guitar Hero controller. That'd be really, really smart, right?
No, don't do that.
I mean, you can out-tap.
Oh my god. Anyways, Rise 4 is now the name of the game. It's the last custom on the Rise department. Let's give it a shot. And this one by Era Imperial. It is the Personalizer.
Ooh, a Taichi song. Interesting.
1.05. Oh, okay.
Also cut, and is still 3 minutes 30 seconds. Interesting to see. Definitely another longer map. These Rice maps have been decent length, 3 minutes. I guess that is kind of to be expected whenever we're getting into these into these later pools. So be aware stamina is maybe going to be an issue, especially since these matches are going to be taking longer and longer. And now we're getting into action maps. We're starting off with some core jacks and little bursts, so nothing too hard.
Wait, actually, I remember this. Imperial made me play this when I was in another meeting for another tournament. Imperial, you fucker!
What? No sword allowed. But okay, as you can see, this has a little bit of a theme similar to Rise 1. It just has squad streams alongside it, and a lot more frequent broken jump stream more than the constant burst bursty jump stream that we saw on Rise 1. This one doesn't have as much density or long jacks compared to the first Rise Big we saw, but it certainly has a lot more density on the jack transitions and more frequent jump stream. As you can see, they are not so broken this time as they were on the intro, but that comes with a cost, and it's stamina. This is a map that stamina is going to be a fair issue, especially considering it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And transitioning from dense gorge stream or their gorge jacks into pretty fast and frequent jump streams, it's pretty tricky to do.
Yeah,
and Song is immensely good.
So I want to say something since I actually played that map. Well, people actually made me play that map, so I can actually attest to something quintessential to this map. This map is really, really stamina draining, and this is essentially like quote-unquote stamina 2, but it's quite different from Rise 2, I want to say. Like, you can see the snaps, and you can see also the very kind of different patterning compared to Rise 2. And also, in terms of speed, this flow is also very different from Rise 2.
And it's OD 8.5, so accuracy is going to be pretty tricky to achieve as well.
Yeah, there's like so many things going at you at once. I think halfway through there was a little break, but I don't think that'll be enough, especially considering like that really just splits this off into 2 sections. And if you're not able to hit that first section, then you're gonna be like actually being destroyed in the second half. Where I think it's a bit lighter, but still having the lack of stamina from that first section, which is going to be brutal, is definitely a huge problem. And these mini jacks just don't end. Take another drink for whoever has.
This section is going to kill your stamina though. You don't have a break, and every break you have is actually just pretty heavy core jacks. So it's very, very hard to transition. You have so little time to transition from one style to the other, and that is so challenging.
Never forget that last note. All right.
But hey, that has been it for the Rise Mediums. We now jump into the Rise Hard category. So yeah, be wary and be careful, because I actually think I played the following map, because this was meant to be used previously and now has been upgraded. So good luck, players, as we get into Rise 5. It is no other than Shoegazer's The Glorious on 115 rate, almost 300 BPM.
Also, the very first Shoegazer map in the entire tournament, I want to say.
That would be right, yes.
We only have one map pool left after this, so maybe this will be the only Shoegazer map at all. But we are seeing so many anchors, as classic Shoegazer kind of has anchors and a bit of bursts.
This will be your tech pick, really, of the map, or rather the Rise. It has a lot of broken rhythms, and it's very, very dense, and 300 BPM is extremely fast. So you have to be very well versed physically to play this. But the good side is, the flip side, if you can actually play comfortably 300 BPM, this may actually be your best map, because it doesn't have much more than this density going for it. You have those chords and eventually some very tricky trills, but otherwise it's a fairly flowy map. It's mostly about, can you hit 300 BPM and can you hit those tech patterns at the intro and ending.
Yeah, I want to say this map looks like a very typical Shoegazer core map. Shoegazer mixed rise, broken jump stream type of map. It's very close to, I would say, riding on the walls, for example.
This is by far the hardest part of the map, by the way. A lot of long jacks and very tricky, like not bursts, but like streams in the middle, and broken streams, that is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with how this is very similar to riding on the walls. This has a lot, as we've seen so far, of these like trill kind of things, and honestly, those are like by far my favorite patterns. And riding on the walls are super not comfortable, just super satisfying to hit. So I'm hoping players will actually be able to pick this and play really, really well, just like purely based off of how fun that pattern is.
Funnily enough, this isn't grand finals yet, so we will have something even harder than this. But before that, we have to transition to our last Rise map of the pool, the category that we called on the early game there on round 32, Rise plus LNs. So this is essentially a hybrid that is like 80% Rise and 20% LNs. So we decided to categorize it as a Rise pick instead.
Wait, isn't this labeled as a hybrid? We'll see in an instant. By the way.
No,
it
Rise
is a
picks.
Rise pick.
It's
Huh.
back.
Oh, it's back. Okay.
Anoko no Jinta by Vortex.
Yeah, we knew everybody enjoyed Rice Plus LN, so we brought it back. I think this is, I don't know actually how popular this map is. This song is really good in my opinion, honestly. I've definitely been looking at this chart for a while, since I think this is one of the few charts of it. But it's definitely really, really difficult, especially on up rates, and we're seeing it on 1.1 right here.
Those 3-note jacks are so hard at the speed, man. But the broken nature of this chart is what kills me the most. Those
This
MJ
is-
transitions are very, very tricky as well.
This is very, very interesting in terms of grace patterning as well. Like, grace patterns are some of my worst weaknesses, and I see like a ton of them in there. Oh, what is this long note section? And wow,
As
this
we
is
told
that,
you,
like-
it is a Rise plus LN map, so it has some minor LN difficulty, and here's mostly about the reading. If you can read those LNs fine, they play pretty much like Rise, especially with the upgrade. But if you misread them, you can easily miss.
Yeah, also this map is decently short, only a minute 50, and I think something that's really, really important is that some of these mini jacks are like kind of spaced together at different snappings, so it's not going to be super, super easy to get really high AC on those in a lot of cases, and maybe you'll break if you like mistime it.
Yeah, I want to say like if you're complaining about the long nose, like this is the finals map, well, you're going to be complaining about the Rice being hard rather than the long nose tripping you up. I think this is kind of the round where people are going to be having trouble with everything, anyways. So just go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we just jumped now straight into Hybrid 1. And like we said, that was the Rise plus LN map, so those LNs were very intentional. So, and we expect Rise teams to be able to take that down, but if you're a Rise team that doesn't really outperform the LN team in Rise, then you may struggle to take that one. That's the whole point of it. Now we go into Astro Stranger, though, another custom map here on the Hybrid department, more on the 50-50 side, by the Funk here.
And now you see some real long note patterns, like you see actual coordination being employed here. The Funk really likes to employ them in their customs, and thank you, the Funk, for being such an outstanding tournament contributor as a whole, and really been carrying the past tournaments in the past few years.
As it is frequent as well with Hybrid 1, it is the more Rise-oriented Hybrid. You can see that most of the density and the pattern complexity here comes from the Rise, and you have eventually some density transitions like this one, which again tends to favor Rise players that can do LNs. Usually the patterns that Rise players struggle the most if they cannot really hold their ground on the LN department are either releases or coordination. In this particular instance, most of the LNs are around the density, so most of the time the Rise players will be fine there if they can just read LNs. So again, if you're a Rise team, usually you will stick to the top side of the map pool, likely trying to avoid Rise 6 and Hybrid 1, but if it comes down to it, if you think your LNs are somewhat decent, those are the kind of picks that you can go for, especially if you're against another Rise team that knows that will struggle when it comes to this sort of LN-ish patterns. And you can take advantage of your accuracy and overpower them through the physicality required for this map.
Yeah, I'm looking at the snaps of the releases, and I see they're fairly straightforward, so it is more of the density skill set than the LN accuracy skill set, especially at this point of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like those Rice areas are like super, super difficult compared to, I guess, the peaks of the LNs. I feel like it's mostly just as everybody has said, but the rice really like has a few more different patterns that uh, is seen in multiple rice maps in the actual rice category, but maybe not as prominent in these hybrid categories. But it is time. Hybrid 2, let us go.
So into Hybrid 2, this is more of a 50-50, and it's trap.
It's a trap.
It is a trap.
Oh, interesting. This looks like a kind of quote-unquote ranked hybrid, and I don't even want to. I don't want to check right now, but I have a feeling like this might either be rankable or already ranked.
That'd be really, really funny if you could already tell. But yeah, I can definitely see what you mean. It has kind of like these LN patterns that we've been seeing a lot in ranked with hybridish maps and some transitions into rice, which isn't actually too bad, but definitely compared to the last chart, this map's coordination is really quite a bit harder. There's a lot more, I guess, awkward snappings on the releases. Or like not really awkward, more like different snappings on the releases. And we see introduction of quad streams like we saw on the Year Imperial 30 map.
This is ranked, by the way.
Yeah, this is actually ranked from what people have been saying in chat.
Another really, really short map, by the way. 2 minutes. I think so far most the last hybrid and Rex Leagues have been reasonably short, so maybe this hybrid pool is a bit shorter.
This is the main jam, the main LN section. Very, very tricky coordination-wise. You had some transitions on the rice that were pretty tricky to hit as well. But overall, sort of classic ranked hybrid here. And a lot of emphasis on those jacks. I feel those will be very heavy choke points.
This? No, this is so ranked for.
It really is. There's a lot of jump tradable stuff here. So if you know how to cheese your way out of those patterns, then you should be pretty good here. Now into Hybrid 3. Another one that is supposed to be a bit of a 50-50. And of course, we have...
Waiting.
It's actually a surprise, so we shall deliver to you this surprise live.
Yes. Remember that we were talking a lot about we were not really saving things for the later stage of the tournament, and we instead went all out early on. Well, we maybe lied. So yeah, enjoy Hybrid 3. yeah, I believe I am now unmuted. Oh, there we are. I am now unmuted. That has been Beyond Wood by Akiri, Era Imperial the Mapper. Thank you, both of you, both song composer and mapper here. Incredible stuff. Very heavy tech 50-50 hybrid, as you saw, and GFX, I believe, by Alex Dunk, was it?
I think
I have
it
to.
was.
Yeah. So it was great as well. I already posted the funny GIF. No, it was the funk. Oh, there was the funk, not Alex Dunk. My bad.
Oh.
I always confuse the names of those two. My bad. Thank you, Funk. And yeah, this is also kind of a feature artist announcement, probably. Akiri, I think, is joining us. So congratulations to them.
Woohoo, it's been a while coming. I think Akiri did crypto, or not crypto, cryochemistry, right? In the
Crypto, let's go.
Cryochemistry, right? In 40M4. That song was good.
Yep. But oh well, that's it for this hybrid. Let's jump to the next one.
Okay, this hybrid I actually know, and this is the most based hybrid pick.
So this is hybrid 4, intended to be the more LN-oriented of the hybrids. And it is Obfuscate.
And it is the Braxos one, the one you know from MWC, I want to say 2021.
Wow. Taking MWC again. Let's go. We're really showing how difficult these map pools are getting, where we're having to steal from the difficult MWC pools now.
Yeah, you want to know a really funny thing? Physically, I think this is probably one of the easiest maps of the pool. I got a better score on this than some of the semifinals pool. I actually played this map also, and this is one of the maps I know because I got a really insane run on it. But I think my score was due to how I was able to maintain combo on this pick as a whole. I think this map is very conducive to combo play rather than accuracy play, especially if you're familiar with Abraxas maps, this is totally the case.
Staccato galore. Pretty much. So yeah, a classic now being reused here.
Yeah,
very, very technical releases and just technical patterns as a whole. As Spatter was mentioning, this is the kind of map that you will have to do your best to hold your combo through. Accuracy, of course, being important, but if you're not too careful and you sharpshoot too much accuracy, you're gonna miss so often on this.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody's really played any type of Abraxas map, you know how difficult they are to act. It's not really something that you feel whenever you're playing the map specifically, but at the end of the map you realize that you're just constantly dropping 200 all over the place. And this map is 3 minutes, however, honestly that first minute seemed like intro and it wasn't really anything until on the first third, and after that it's just been actually impossible to play. Basically so many places to just randomly get 200s, randomly get 100, or miss or anything.
Wait, what's the lore of this map? Enlighten us. I don't even know the lore of this map. I haven't been in the community for that long.
Yeah, I don't know the lore either. I am a baby, but yeah,
I'm a nosy baby.
I was born in 2020.
Yeah,
but yeah,
really.
we're just continuing to see these really, really difficult. Also, there's reverse shields that are just apparent throughout all of these LNs, all these shorter LNs, which just add so much to the difficulty. Just everything about this map just makes it insane to act.
Yeah, the accuracy department of this map is especially to put into them phases, because I do think that in terms of physicality this is fairly manageable, but in terms of accuracy this might be the hardest.
That has been it for the hybrids. Now we move straight into the long notes. We start with LN1 as usual, the least physical demanding one, or at least in theory, and is killing rhythm by Rave again, Ravel.
Oh, another Unveil LN in LN Easy, in the LN Easy spots.
Has a little bit of coordination, a bit of density as you saw before, and of course, some amount of releases, because it's raid. That's always going to be the case. But overall, the intention here is a bit of a mix in between different skill sets as per usual, just that a little bit toned down compared to the rest of the physicality requirement of the pool. And this one has a little bit of a focus on the density, I will say, based on what I'm seeing right now. It's just that it isn't too fast for it to be that big of a problem, and it mixes it up a little bit with gaps in between the density that can be somewhat tricky to hit, especially if you are not very well versed in the LN department. It's not something you can like tunnel vision. Usually density maps are like the kind of maps where Riot players can take advantage and maybe break points against the LN teams, but this one has enough coordination built in it that can make the Riot players struggle quite a bit.
Yeah, I think this is pretty typical of Ravel density-oriented maps, I want to say. And I don't think Ravel's density-oriented maps are that fast. Wow, that was a really funny pattern. Like the snake with the LNs in between. I say the snake, it's like a zigzag. You know what I mean. In any case, I think like what I wanted to say is that Ravel's patterning is very wildcardy as a whole, and this, by the virtue of its speed, really makes it a little bit more quote-unquote density-oriented in terms of wildcard orientation. But yeah, those are some really funny patterns.
Yeah, there's so many trills on this map, just scattered everywhere, basically. It's honestly, who can continually press trills on LNs and actually have really good accuracy?
That was the easier physical pick of the LN department. Now we move into LN2, which is a custom map. It is Vanguard 2.
This is the one LN map that I actually played, if I'm gonna be honest. And honestly, this one gets really, really difficult. This intro isn't honestly all that bad. It has a bit of accuracy difficulties, mainly based off the polyrhythms that are present, and you already see that with the LN's releases being so awkward.
Yeah, honestly, like, this is SV, but if it were in the LN category.
Yeah, it requires a lot of strict coordination, I feel, and the releases are pretty tight and hard to hit, due to the rhythms of the song being very, very hard to catch.
Yeah, I definitely think this intro is a bit easier, but definitely doesn't mean that it's really easy. I think it's very, very focused on act, but once we get into the actual, I guess, more chorus section, we're already seeing some right now. There are like these jacks that can cause a lot of problem, and in the chorus there's just constant throughout everything, and you're already hitting like super, super dense sections.
Yeah, I feel like this map especially might be the one that is the most release/coordination demanding between all of them.
How much the rhythms change though. This is so hard to act properly if you're not very well with visuals. If you go aural, of course, that also works, but I think the patterns are so heavy that it's kind of hard to read the gaps of the releases unless you know the song by heart. So if you go in for auto play, like the gaps just go all over the place. They're not very consistent. So I will say if you're visual, you may have an easier time reading the releases. But if you're auto, you probably have easier time releasing it accurately if you get to listen to the song a couple times. But regardless, it's very tricky map over here. Very deceivingly hard. I expect teams to struggle quite a lot in this transitions between different rhythms. But that's LN2. Into LN3 now. It is another custom map, so get ready for it. It is Worlds and Loneliness.
Yeah, we haven't seen many maps from Felix Spade this time around. Like Felix Spade has been carrying many tournaments around the world and has carried last year's 4DM a whole lot. But this might be the first one that we see from Felix Spade.
6 stars, by the way.
And, yeah, 6 stars in true Felix Spade fashion. And I do think, like, just from the beginning of this map, a reminder, I have not played this map. This feels like a Felix Spade style type of wildcard. Like lots of bursts, lots of density involved, and as a whole, like I want to say, I want to tell you a little bit more behind the scenes. Like Fennec Fate likes to lay down the rise before they lay down the long node, which makes the patterning a little bit quote unquote LNJSE. But I do
So
think
we're all fairly flowy though. That's the thing
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Felix
yeah.
patterning. They are usually fairly rolly and flowy and not very technical. So it's mostly a matter of reading them properly. Some of the gaps here are very, very hard to play properly. Like the burst, again, because the pattern is so rolly and comfortable to hit, the release timings are not as challenging as it could be. But I can certainly see some players who struggle with tight gaps to find a miss or two in this kind of section, especially when it transitions from one force into burst and back and forward.
Yeah, I think like the tight gaps are forcing you to hold your fingers close to the bottom of the keyboard. And the high BPM especially just shortens the gaps in a way that really spells density here.
Yeah, and in that last chorus, that was like such a difficulty spike. It's just so insane. It was so dense. We continue to see some density sections over here, but definitely nothing as hard as what we just saw. And it's just really continuous. No breaks. I guess there are minor breaks. They're like for a second or two, and it's just another one right here where it's just so dense, and everything is just basically impossible to get really good accuracy on it. And if you, I feel, miss one section, it's
Oh yeah,
kind
you're
of
gone.
screwed.
Yeah, you're kind of gone. Because the gaps are like so inconsistent, missing makes it so much harder to catch up and get back into the game. So usually if you miss once, you're probably going to be chain missing a little bit.
4.5k combo, by the way. That's actually insane. The map was only 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
It's on Score V1
Releases.
though. I think
Was
Gorota
it?
might be... Osutopus might be on Score V1. I don't really
Mm.
know if you can force it to have it
Yeah,
Score
you
V2.
can,
I think you can.
It is on V2,
Yeah, it is on V2.
supposedly.
Mhm.
So
Confirmation
still,
from Danny
that's
it's Score
insane.
V2, yeah. Okay.
Now,
okay.
last long no medium map, before we get into the hard stuff of the LN hard, which is actually extremely funny. But before that, we have another custom to display. We only have one more map that is not custom, and it's right after this one. So let's get into LN4. This is Night Sky by Yui's 2018.
I think
Oh,
this
dude.
is actually the other one that I played. And it's actually quite difficult to get really good to combo this one decently well if you're not up to the physicality standards. It is really dense, and some of these mini jacks just cause trouble. And shoot. But yeah, this is honestly a very different UE's chart than what I was used to personally. I kind of see UE's as more of like a density mapper, but this is definitely quite a bit more on the technicality side, as we are seeing there's so many like longer jacks and so many anchors that are present throughout everything. This song is really good also. It's like honestly really addicting to listen to. But we see a few more Gracie areas, a bit more flowy LNs, but getting towards the end is really where it struggles.
Yeah, I have a feeling like this is supposed to be kind of the physical LN pick. Like there's a lot of LNs, sure, but some of the transitions, as you mentioned, with the mini jack, the Michael Jackson, that you might call them.
Yo.
But yeah, like some of the patterns, like especially the jump stream patterning in the density itself, is very conducive to physicality strain.
As Dan is mentioning on the chat right now, this is considered to be the LN plus Rise map, so it's like 80% LN, 20% Rise. Similar to Rise 6, this should be instead slotted for LN6. It has some mini jacks in between, and the patterns are overall fairly linear in terms of releases, which tends to favor Rise maps or Rise players in the LN department. But regardless of that, we will then see LN6. It's actually just LN4. And yeah, we go into LN5 now, which is the physical LN map, the hard physical LN map. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the last non-custom map of the pool. And if you can tell, this is already a popular song. You should know what this is by this point. Because I am very scared. I am very scared. If you know what this is, you should be very scared too. This is Neuro Cloud 9 by Crazy Chrysalan.
If you can 99 this, then you're right? Surely.
Surely you are skill banned at this point. Like, this map is insane.
Yeah, this is not the Dan one, by the way. The Dan one, I think, is the easy MMR chart, so... Yeah, but I think this one is still going to be decently difficult. It is the 5.99 star rating map, so... almost there with the DG Dice song.
At least it's a popular song, huh?
That is true. Everyone does know NeuroCloud 9, especially at this point, especially if you've played LN. It's pretty iconic in the Dan. Probably one of the better songs. And really,
Epic
really
coordination.
Cool.
Epic
Yeah.
finger in the policy coordination section here. Reminds me a bit of Time to Say Goodbye. Just, you get to see that it gets so much worse.
Yeah, you can see those anchors, and those do remind me of Time to Say Goodbye. It's like kind of the same idea in terms of getting string from coordination itself.
Bit of a Grace-ish type of patterning here, classic Chris Sutherland stuff, with some mini-jacks in between to transitions and some anchors. This is obviously, like, debate is that this isn't really the Dan chart, otherwise it would be insanely hard for the stage. But some of those transitions, you can see they are very complicated to hit properly, and the gaps are super small. With the snaps being all over the place and the gaps being very small, misses on those sections are incredibly likely to happen.
Yeah, and also this map is decently long, almost 3 minutes.
Yeah, but the intro is fairly tame.
Yeah, the
though.
intro is also pretty easy. But still interesting to see this ending.
mini jacks.
section. Yeah, the mini jacks, the shields, everything is coming at you. And early on, you still have to have like a really good density foundation because you really do have to be able to play these maps. And yeah, we're just continuing. The density never really stops. This song is constant. Nothing is really making it anything easier.
Yeah, I get a feeling from the long note department that going into finals and onwards, there's a lot of density bias that starts setting in, and I do think that the more you go into late game, the more it is inevitable that the density is going to go up and up and up, and maybe lighter coordination players are going to be a little bit lost in the sauce.
And it makes sense, really, because physicality can only, like, be reduced so much for it not to matter. At some point, the maps are physical enough that you need the releases, but you also kind of really need to be physically capable. This is a good example, too. Like, if you have the physicality required to hit those jacks and the coordination, then if you're a release player, you have the advantage on the accuracy, but you really need to be able to hold your ground physically to hit those mini jacks. Drink.
Drinking.
Anyways, that being said, let's go into the last LN pick, which is actually LN4, but now it's labeled as LN6. So it doesn't have Rise on it, it's just a lens, and let's get it. This is a map by Samitsu, and it's Sono Emerald wo Miyo.
Oh my god, same, it's in my beloved. Niwashi, my beloved as well. Let's go.
Yeah, the song is really good. Niwashi, being more and more popular as recently in terms of Mania, especially in the LN category, because they make really good songs for LN maps specifically. But here we are, a 2 minutes and 30-second map, but nothing too bad, probably like the average that we've been seeing. And this is another one where it's pretty difficult to get really good accuracy on. Definitely a lot of coordination sections in this map. We are already seeing it just all over the place. So many places where you have to like hold 3 notes down and then switch to another and do all these different things with your fingers. Basically, it's like dancing on the keyboard.
I think this is honestly the most tricky one to play release-wise on the entire pool due to how the rhythms are a little bit broken. Like you have gallops kind of type of patterns and gallop the releases, I want to call them, to some degree, and that can be pretty tricky to time properly, especially if you're not visual. So due to some of the releases being overextended to what you would normally expect them to be, they're not necessarily incredibly consistent in that either. So you really need to be on top of your visual game here, and you really need to be very, very careful with those reverse shields.
Yeah, I am just going by feeling, but I feel like this is the lower BPM long note pick among all of them. And the lower you go into BPM, the higher the coordination demand is gonna be. Like, you notice, like, if you DT a coordination long note pick, it's gonna get easier. And conversely, if you choose your songs so that your long note release/coordination picks are purposefully slower, then it's gonna get harder to coordinate in terms of releases. I mean, what else is there to say about this thing? Like, this is just beautiful Miwashi, and this is very Sayamitsu core, and I haven't ever seen a Sayamitsu interpretation of Miwashi, so I'm looking forward to try this map, like actually try this map, because this looks very playable to me.
Yeah, definitely
It's
is
because of the background, isn't it?
Yep, anime. Love anime and love. Is that Mume? No, it isn't.
No, that's not
I'm just
Mume,
on
no.
something.
No, you're
She's
just
got a
VTuber
tail.
pilled, man. You're just VTuber pilled,
I
man.
really am.
Ew.
So,
Anyways,
yeah,
let's go.
moving on. There's no SPs this round. Goodbye.
Bye.
To
Let's go
tiebreaker.
into the tiebreaker. Just kidding. We have some
Why
spicy
not
stuff in there.
LN?
Yeah,
They
let's
still
go to
need one
LN7.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
I believe it.
This is the gimmick picks, like the gimmick picks we've been talking about, long jacks, the finger switch picks. No, those are the SVs. Those are the actual SVs. And first SV on the board is gonna be coming from Black Day, and that is so Black Day core. Like, the song choice is Black Day core, the mapping is Black Day core, and the replay is not actually gonna be Osutopus. This is gonna be coming from Odyssey, and Odyssey has some insane scores on them. I think Odyssey has a 997k on this and 996k on the other one, so it might as well be Osutopus on this one. This pattern, by the way, is kind of mind-blockable. You gotta be a little bit careful when reading it. And let's go into the actual drop and actual meat of the map. There's a lot of trap in there, like very, very deceiving snaps and misnormalizations that you have to kind of tune into and vibe the song.
It's so cool to see, though. You see those doubles. The rise is actually what you have to hit, and the long note comes right one half beat after. So it's very fun to play.
Yeah, this section is so
and this
funny
section is
as well.
so fun.
The jacks, the anchors. I drink.
There are actually no jacks here. There's only like 1-2s, but they look like jacks. Well, there is like some of them. Those ones, they are. Eventually, you have some MJs, but they are not the many. There are only a few of them. Also, lines? No, 727. No.
Interesting use of lines from Black Day. It might be due to, I want to say high BPM, but I'm not really familiar with how Black Day uses lines nowadays. But I do feel like he makes a fairly extensive use of them, especially in transitions, like making.
You can use those lines to tell when the pattern is trap or not, because you know there's always a beat in between each of the lines, so you know they're not 1-4s, they're like 1-2s. So that's a great way to indicate.
Yeah, this denormalization is so hard to read, and especially like with this repetitive patterning, really loses you in the jam. And the syncopated nature of this section really makes you lose control in here. So you really might need to tune into the NSD version.
This is everything you saw so far on the map, but up to 11.
Yeah, like this last section is so hard to grasp. And this is the anchor section, but that's kind of fucked up. I'm gonna swear.
Drink.
I'm drinking.
Yeah, same. But yeah, like if you have to train this map, then you might want to get some supplies because you're gonna spend a lot of time on it.
Alright, so that's being it for Solar Eclipse. Great map there, very fun. Into SV2 now. So final map before the tiebreaker. We have, of course, another custom.
Yeah.
Imagine we get a custom song for this, because that would be great.
Yeah, the second custom is gonna be coming from not applicable, and you might know not applicable from early game entries, but not applicable has mapped some late game before, and they went ham on this one. This one is so hard. It is a little bit more quote-unquote reading oriented, I want to say, but this is not the kind of reading you side read. Like, this is very abrasive, and this is much faster than Solar Eclipse, and you really sometimes have to react to what's coming at you. And I think, like, with some amount of training, you will learn how to anticipate how this is coming. But this is very, very brutal.
Watch out, because... Oh, that is so sudden.
Yeah, there's
But
one
yeah,
section
get ready.
in
After this.
particular.
Yeah, it is after this, I think.
Yeah, there's one section in particular that's gonna be really, really rough. Oh my fucking
Yep,
god.
there it is. Those is in bits as well. On the log node, you see the end, but you don't see the middle. The trails as well. Those are not as hard to play as they look, but if you never hear the map or the song or never play the map before, you will miss there 100% of the time.
And it's not over. Like, there's more to this map than just this. Let's just watch, man. Those chords are very deceptive. They look kind of easy, but the way you read them is very particular. Danny had so much trouble in this one. And by the way, a lot of the last section in terms of quads is definitely quadable, and you are supposed to be quadding them as well, according to the mapper. That's mapper's intent, by the way. And I just wanted to forward that information before we go into the tiebreaker.
So, into the tiebreaker. It is another custom map. I mean, do we call this Iconos or 1K Onos?
No,
sure
do
if-
not call
or
it
one
one Konos. I said this is a meme, but you should not be calling it one Konos. I say this as quote unquote part of the
One Crystal?
1K pooling team for Joke 3. This is, I think it is pronounced Iconos or Iconos.
One Konos, maybe?
Shut up!
But yeah, this is the tiebreaker map by Defunct Mysterio and Saimitsu. Enjoy.
I don't really,
God.
yeah, I don't really have much to say at this intro. This map is honestly decently short. 5 minutes 19 isn't too long for a tiebreaker. Yeah, the LNs are LNE and the Rise
Yeah,
Rising
Lance
Rise.
out Eleni. Yeah, oh my god. I am done.
Commentary showcase, let's go!
I feel like this is a bit more like the LN and Rice is a bit more put together, I guess, to where like they're more next to each other and it's not like sections off like we have been seeing in some of the hybrids. So that is definitely going to be a different things that players will have to think about, since they will actually have to focus on more than just one skill set at a time.
I can only speak for the song choice, and the song has been custom made for 1K Grand Finals. And if you are familiar with the process of 1K, it's that 1K gets its complexity from rhythm complexity. So Ikonos as a whole is hard through its rhythm complexity. So this this tiebreaker I expect to be kinda tech oriented as a whole.
Chill elevator music. But yeah, overall, as you saw, this is mostly a very techy tiebreaker for the most part, and it merges itself between the different skills quite a lot. So you really need to be well versed on 50-50 hybrids to play this properly, for the most part. You have some glimpses of core jacks and mini jacks, and eventually you have some tricky releases, but for the most part it's about 50-50ing those at the same time.
Yeah, and we're already halfway through. There are honestly a lot of sections where, like, I feel like there's one section where it's a bit harder than the others. Everything really, really is just difficult.
Combo galore.
Yeah, comboing alone also. I feel like some of the rice especially has some places where it's just like going to be really, really difficult to be able to hold a combo because of the amount of bursts that are present throughout. And obviously the rhythm complexity is going to make it even harder to get really good Akon, and even though this is OD 7.4, it doesn't really mean that it's going to be super easy.
Yeah, I feel like the technicality of this tiebreaker as a whole kind of makes me want to say that teams should be focusing on combos rather than accuracy, and the OD 7.4 kind of helps in that regard. Yeah, it's honestly interesting to see how this tiebreaker is structured. Like, you see this really heavy coordination.
The Mysterium
section.
part, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I
looks a
think
lot
this
like
is very
Mysterium.
typical with my steering, yeah.
Oh, I love those razors.
Yeah, and we're just continuing to see these extended burst kind of things, which are kind of just like happening every so often, where players are most likely going to be taking a few breaks. It's like a speed section, so maybe, but ending it off with the Michael Jacksons that we have been seeing definitely makes it a bit more difficult.
Yeah, the rhythms in this outro are gonna get really funny, by the way. Like, this has been kind of a gimmick to put all the difficulty of 1K tiebreakers towards the end, like in a big bang, so to speak, and this is no exception. Like, you see those, I'm preparing my drink, mini jacks, and really increase in density as a whole, in order to lead to the eventual ending.
And we really see everything like come to a close at this ending. We already hear also. Just the difficulty kind of increases quite a bit. The mini jacks are more present. Sorry for the drink. The reverse shields are like even more difficult and more apparent, and all the snappings are like really, really weird.
But yeah, that was Ikonos. I think you say it Ikonos, yeah. But that has been our Mappool showcase for finals, and just making sure there is a grand finals Mappool showcase next week as well, and so maps are gonna get harder next week. But let's see which teams have to endure those maps.
Vietnam, Taiwan. Let's go. What did I
Wow.
say? Taiwan, my squad, the Dark Horse.
Yeah, honestly, like looking at those results, Taiwan. I did not expect Taiwan to get it up this far, but like some of those players are really up and coming, and the Southeast Asian showdown continues. Vietnam versus Taiwan, geographically very close, and also I want to say in terms of skill sets, pretty close.
Yeah, that is true. It's really going to be interesting to watch this match. I feel like I don't know if this will go to TB necessarily, but it will definitely be really, really interesting to see the scores because this is winners bracket. This is where the top scores will be at.
Yeah, I think both of the teams are going to be able to handle this map pool as a whole, but let's see what the losers bracket has to say about that, because I do think that the losers bracket is going to have a little bit more trouble than the winners bracket. Let's start from the top, Malaysia, US.
So we are saying it is USA versus USA with a moon and a star in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, USA already has stars.
Oh,
so it's just USA with moon.
True. Or maybe it is Malaysia without moon.
Oh.
It's the sun versus the moon.
And you know, if you say both of the names like MYUS, it's almost like Majus. So like caps.
Muse.
True.
Muse.
But I think honestly that one's going to be a bit interesting. I believe it's C2 versus C4 for that. Well, seeding doesn't really matter as much now, but like still it is going to be interesting. And then Philippines versus Italy. Italy just barely winning against Indonesia, really going to have to test their skills against the Philippines, who were able to beat the US last 2 weeks ago or something. So if both the US and Philippines move on somehow, then we'll be seeing a rematch for I believe this is the first rematch actually.
I'm not sure if it is the first one, but it's certainly one. I believe Indo versus Mexico happened as well. I'm not sure. It was Hong Kong versus Mexico. I'm not sure if it was Indo. So yeah, this could be the first rematch of the tournament.
Yeah, I think Italy as a whole is a very interesting team. They have demonstrated their ability to scale late game, and that might be a very interesting element to put against the Philippines. And I also do want to pronounce PH and IT together.
Fit.
Fit.
It's a feat
I
that they have such a match.
I think they have a really good fit together.
Oh god, no. Isn't it that it?
It
Could be.
It kind of rolls less on the tongue. I want to say fit.
Also, it is interesting to note US and Italy being the only two non-Asian countries out of the 5 countries, I think. Or no,
6.
There's no way there's 5 countries.
6
countries.
Yeah. 5 countries would be kind of weird.
One country is eliminated. I choose randomly.
Yo. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point of the tournament, we already have our last 6 teams. I genuinely have no idea how anyone is going to stop Vietnam. Like, they are looking incredibly strong. But if there is a team to do it, I guess it has to be Taiwan, right?
I believe.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it kind of depends on how everyone scales on the map pools, and we're making them hard. We're making them harder on purpose so that teams actually fall. And it kind of depends on how much they fall, because everyone just falls at different speeds.
Oh boy, I cannot really think of any creative names by just mentioning Bitten, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. Yeah, that's the bracket really. There isn't much else to talk. There's only 4 matches next weekend. All of them will be using the same pool, and I think you should probably just watch every match, really. Like, there isn't a favorite one to watch, I believe. Everyone should probably make some time to watch every game. They're all looking to be all very intense, with no exceptions, really. If anything, I think the dynamics of Philippines versus Italy are going to be very interesting. But otherwise, I just don't really know who's going to make it through. Of course, you can predict Vietnam and Taiwan's top 3 because they are already top 3 due to them being on the winners final. But the third team to get there, I have absolutely no idea. Because My money was on the US, but then the US started to struggle a little bit with the third player later on, and so did Malaysia in some regards. So I don't know really. Out of those 4 teams, I think Philippines is the one that's looking the strongest, but even so, I can see them losing for sure.
I'm gonna have to rep my US dogs in the losers bracket. I believe in them. Pataraj, you get to choose now. Who's winning losers bracket this weekend?
I want to say Philippines because they're my fan favorites. I have a lot of Filipino friends and I love the Filipinos. That's my only reason.
I'm outnumbered. So sad.
Just to make things fair, I'll put 1 cent for Malaysia.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'll put a cent in Italy then.
Yeah, I would love to see Italy
Everyone.
though. Italy is by far my favorite
Italy
country.
would be insane.
Of
Yeah,
the, of the top 6.
actually, I want to say like Italy is kind of my underdog in my mind because Italy not only is coming from Europe and geographically very close to France. I also know some Italian players as well. Like shout out to Kiraz, by the way. He's not playing in the team right now, but kind of.
Forza Italia.
Yeah, Forza Italia.
Shout out Fantasy League, by the way. Be sure to do that. Or don't do it so that I win, actually.
Don't be like me who forgot to do pick'ems after quarterfinals. Or rather qualifiers.
I never did pick him.
But anyways, that's it for the bracket, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy the finals showcase, the pool itself, and overall our very prepared commentary.
Yeah, and very sober commentary.
Yeah,
Of course.
It was a bit too good.
I honestly think this is pretty family friendly, despite the drunk levels. So I like that. It
Yeah,
feels
honestly,
like a big
I do
family.
think I do think it was pretty accurate in sight reading the picks. I think like sight reading picks in showcase is kind of a pretty interesting experience. I haven't done it like too often because I tend to.
Wow,
tend
he wants to
prepare my
flex
showcases.
that he prepares. I've been doing this
Yeah,
for
I
10 years.
usually
I prepare
prepare,
like
like,
almost never.
Yeah, yeah, funny things. Like we should talk about what happens behind the scenes a lot. Like you do not realize how much is happening behind the scenes. And by the way, shout out to all the staff that is working behind the scenes. You never get to see, like, for example, how much Albion works behind the scenes as a head of staff, referee slash man does it all. Like I might hate on him like publicly, but deep down inside I think I love Albion.
What? Clip that.
How could you?
Clip that.
Okay, it might be the alcohol speaking, but
Yeah,
the
I
man's
think so.
an MVP, man.
Yeah, I mean they do. They certainly do. So does Danny. Really, everyone is putting a lot of effort commenting too. They are working really hard on the Mappools.
Yeah, shout out to
So-
the poolers. Like the poolers had to work with this structure. Like this structure makes like the first reaction that we had when we were looking at the pools, like this structure makes no sense. We are not used to this. How do we play test this? And the poolers had to work with our messed up feedback. Like my feedback was literally, yeah, this plays good. I like this map. I hate this map. This map makes no sense. And there was one map that was supposed to be in semifinals that was completely forgotten about and rejected. But yeah, that's gonna be going on the iceberg, and we're gonna talk about that in the Discord if you want to, and if I'm still awake.
Yeah, next weekend, remember, we have the finals matches. We have the grand finals map showcase. Potentially, we may have a surprise or two as well. We will see if that's the case. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Discord alerts. The schedule should be up there very, very shortly. And yeah, only fair mention, I believe, is that teams, if they want to reschedule, please try to do it as soon as possible so we can do our best to avoid overlaps. We really, 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 really want to stream every single final match and grand final match. So do your best not to overlap with schedules with someone else. We will help you in that regard. So if there's collision, we'll work together, staff and players, to get the best experience out of everyone, including viewers. So that being said, I think we can wrap it up. I need to take a shower and then leave immediately because I have a dinner party going.
Yeah, I'm just gonna join Juan in the shower. Be right
No!
back.
Oh no.
Shower stream, let's go.
You're
we're
lucky I'm
gonna
using.
do
You're,
that
you're
in
lucky I'm
4
using headphones.
Okay, keep track of us in twitch.tv/4digit MWC2.
For the That's what you mean, right?
Fortnite?
Oh, did we give you?
No, I mean, yeah. Thank you, Danny.